What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, we are previewing everything you need to know about Week 3 of college football. Joining me, he is Ryan Reese at Philly_Madness. What's good, Ryan?
Yeah, Philly Sports PSA, but all right, it's okay. You said some sort of combination of mine and Rob's.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Well, it's right here, folks, for anybody who, unlike Dives, who can't read. We're off to a great start. Now, listen, we had a great college week number 2. That Texas-Michigan game, I mean, it's crazy. Some really great games, a lot of good upsets. We're here to talk about it, and we're gonna do our picks, and hopefully I'll be a little better than last week.
We're gonna get into that. Let's talk about our college football top takeaways from week 2.
DJ Uiagalelei.
DJ Uiagalelei. Ryan, what was your top takeaway from last week, man? Week 2.
Yeah, listen, there were some amazing games there. Texas really kind of supplanted themselves as a powerhouse this year. Basically embarrassing Michigan. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a close game, a good defensive game, but yeah, they won pretty handedly. And outside of that, yeah, there were a lot of teams kind of made a name for themselves. I think that was kind of for me anyway, the theme there of some teams that were kind of maybe iffy down in the top 25. Yeah, there were definitely some teams that said, hey, don't forget about us. We're here. And just like Miami was another one that just comes to mind that now granted they didn't play anybody halfway decent, but again, we're starting to see a Miami team there that it's kind of reminding me of 90s dominant powerhouse kind of team. And yeah, there was a couple of games this week that kind of reminded me that, hey, there's a lot more than just the top 5, top 10 kind of guys here. This is a pretty strong top 25 that we have right now. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of see some of these matchups that we got coming up of these top 25 teams.
Yeah, I thought where week 1 there was a lot of offense, especially when it comes to making those shorts. I make like almost 10 shorts every week of winners of the week. This week it was all about defense. You look at Northern Illinois, the Huskies upsetting the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I mean, amazing defense. What a trap game that was. That sucks for our friend Mark. But it is what it is. That'll be maybe the highlight of the year. You look at Texas shutting down Michigan's offense. You look at Xavier Scott of Illinois shutting down the Kansas offense 23-17. Xavier Scott was all over the field, 8 tackles, 3 takeaways. You go to Tommy Hill of Nebraska shutting down that Colorado offense, and Travis Hunter keeping him out of the end zone. That was really impressive as well. So it was a fun week for the sake that I'm a defensive guy. I'm an old school 90s like Jim Johnson kind of guy. So it was good to see a lot of defensive touchdowns and things like that. So that was the takeaway. I thought Nebraska really cemented themselves. You mentioned Miami. We're going to be talking about Miami in a little bit. But that was my takeaway, was that there was some teams that are trying to find their identity. And then there are teams like Ole Miss who were like, we're going to pass 1 week in week 1. And then this week we're going to run it down your throat and just get like 600 yards rushing.
Yeah.
That's a team to watch out for.
Oh yeah. Love that team this year.
All right. Let's get into our Eagles targets of the week. Eagles targets of the week. Do you want to go first or second?
I can go. I don't mind.
Good, man.
I, again, I feel like obviously I'm a linebacker guy. Everybody knows that, but our linebackers played pretty good there on Friday down in Brazil. So I feel like out of respect for that, I'm not going to select a linebacker this week. I'm going to select a position that I think is still a desperate need of the Eagles, and that's tight end. And I'm going to go with Gavin Bartholomew out of Pitt. Obviously, I'm a Pitt guy, so I pay close attention to this guy. But I really like him as kind of a late round tight end kind of guy. Coming out of high school, he wasn't that highly recruited. I think he was only a 3-star, but he's a PA guy through and through. He's very versatile in high school. He played quarterback, defensive end. He obviously tight end. He even punted in high school. So, and he's also one of those, coach's dream. I kind of guy that you ask anything of him, he's the kind of guy that's going to go out and do it. He really is, very coachable. But he's, his versatility, I think, is what makes him attractive for the Eagles. You can put him literally, and Pitt has put him in every single type of position that you could put a tight end. He has experience, in the line, slot, wide receiver, H back, whatever kind of offensive scheme you're thinking, you could throw this guy there. He's just a sound blocker, consistent, and he's able to kind of play through that contact. High efficiency, high motor, and his consistency, I think, is what makes him, again, very attractive. But as far as receiver, great hands. Again, kind of that consistent, go-to for a quarterback, and certainly, Pitt has certainly shown that, in Bartholomew. Generates some really good yards after catch as well. It's definitely not a speed guy, but it's definitely one of those like, and again, I'm not trying to compare him to Gronk, but how Gronk wasn't necessarily the fastest, but you get the ball and he just, every time he catch it, he's getting an extra 10. This is a kind of same guy where he's just going to bruise his way to another, 5 or 10 yards after his catch. And he also has, special team value as well. So, again, while he's not necessarily the fastest guy, he's very consistent in what he does, and very coachable, and he's a team leader there at Pitt. I just like him as far as, he could be a guy that you can find in, the early day three, I think could be where we find him. And, again, I think that's, again, unless we're going for like a second rounder, he's the kind of guy that the Eagles would love to grab later. Again, no offense to, who we have after Dallas Goedert, but, we need to start thinking about Dallas Goedert's replacement. And we also need to start thinking about, the people behind him and replacing them as well. And I think Bartholomew would come in and be a really nice tight end too, a workhorse kind of guy, blocker. Again, anything you ask of him, he's going to do it. And he's a great leader for Pitt. So he's my prospect of the week for the Eagles, and well-needed position for them.
Any chance you get, you're going to talk about Pitt. That's for sure.
There's not a lot of great prospects to choose from, so I got to grab the one that means more for the Eagles. So
he's got 7 receptions on 10 targets this year. He's got 4 drops during his 4-year career at Pitt. You look at pass protection, he's given up 0 sacks in those 4 years. So you like that? Only 7 pressures allowed. And then you go to run blocking. His best graded season per PFF when it comes to run blocking was last year. So definitely a guy to keep an eye out for. I'm going to go with another guy. I think that's probably going to be like a Senior Bowl-ish, draft process-ish kind of guy that's going to blow up, I think. Let's talk about a guy I already talked about on this show, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Xavier Restrepo. He's a guy that doesn't have a lot of size. He's probably a day 3 developmental slot kind of guy for the Philadelphia Eagles, but he's got excellent separation ability, very shifty at the line of scrimmage, excellent route runner, separates well against defenders, either in man or zone coverage. He's amazing when it comes to body control. He can be used all over the field in both the run and the pass game. Again, he's not a big guy, but he's actually, his numbers as a run blocker are very good. He's not afraid to get his body dirty, put a shoulder into someone, make a contested catch, extend for a first down. Great after the catch as well. His yards after the catch ability is one of the best skills in his pocket. This is one of those dudes that can make something out of nothing. And, I think when it comes to his role in the NFL, those manufactured touches are probably going to be his moneymaker when it comes to his landing spot, especially with touch passes in the backfield. You look at this season so far, he's been dominant. 11 receptions on 13 targets. He's got 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has been Cam Ward's best friend so far through 2 games. Xavier Restrepo, is a guy that I think will show up at the combine and just blow away the short area agility drills. His numbers there are going to be absolutely off the charts. Kind of like that, like Roman Wilson kind of dude that really dominate in terms of creating something off the line of scrimmage. So keep an eye out for Xavier Restrepo as a developmental wide receiver for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of people are probably going like, wide receiver? What are you talking about? Like, we just got Jahan Dotson, although he didn't know he was an Eagle yet.
One target.
Yeah. But, you also have to think of that 4 through 6 range as well. Like, you need to develop these guys that they can, maybe take over the higher, positions there in the wide receiver, room there, so to speak. So I like Restrepo, what he's done so far this year. And again, I think he could kind of be that, hopefully he could be there, kind of a early day 3 kind of guy, but you never know. Like you said, he seems to be one of those guys that might rise up draft boards really quickly after the off-season college process. So yeah, could be nice.
I'm very curious how they develop Johnny Wilson. We'll see if he's going to be a slot guy or an outside guy. He didn't have a lot of playing time in week 1 because I think the one target he had was down the sideline on an incompletion. It was a deep pass. It was kind of it was not a capital ball.
No chance.
No. And Restrepo is definitely he knows his role at the next level. He's not going to be an outside guy. He's small, but he's fun, man. So keep an eye out for him because he's putting up crazy numbers. Let's get into our game of the week for week 3. All right, game of the week. It's good to not talk about Georgia and Alabama and the SEC powerhouses. We're talking Arizona versus Kansas State. And there's some amazing prospects in this one. Ryan, do you want to go first or second?
I'll go second. I want to hear what you have to say about this one.
All right. You look at Arizona. So far, they are 2-0 in the season. They had a 61-39 win over New Mexico to start the season. Then last week was a little rough, 22-10 win over Northern Arizona. For Kansas State, they are also 2-0. They beat UT Martin 41-6, and they beat Tulane 34-27, also a close game. So some fun similarities in that respect. But really, when it comes to it, this game is all about the playmakers, the skill position guys for Arizona, led by Noah Fifita, a quarterback that has a ton of upside. Arizona was one of the biggest surprises in college football in 2023. This is a team that had 5 straight losing seasons. In comes redshirt freshman Noah Fifita, stepping in as a new quarterback, and led the team to a 10-3 record, their best record since 1998. And now they're in the Big 12. They've got a new head coach in Brent Brennan from San Jose State. If we all remember Jed Fish leaving for Washington, but Noah Fifita, man, that Fifita McMillan connection is one of the best duos, period, in the country, period. This is a duo that's been playing together since middle school. Their chemistry is top notch. When it comes to Noah Fifita, he's a very accurate passer. He had a 71.9% completion rate, which was 6th best in the nation last year. Quick decision maker with the football, sneaky good athlete. He forced 7 missed tackles on just 16 scrambles. He's only 5'10". He's got a very slight frame. A lot of his passes are the short intermediate range, but he's shown a lot of improvement this season, led by arguably wide receiver 1 in football, and that's Tet McMillan, otherwise known as T-Mac. We've covered him in previous shows. He has been a beast. He's a 6'5", ridiculous catch radius wide receiver prospect. Last year, he had 17 contested catches. That was second best to Rome Odunze among FBS receivers. He has excellent hands. Last year, he had the lowest drop rate among Power 5 receivers with at least 100 targets. And this year, he's been it was last week 2, he kind of wasn't involved, but week 1, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. This is wide receiver 1 in college football, probably a top 5, top 10 pick. Shades of Mike Evans, shades of like Michael Pittman, prototypical X receiver you're looking for on the boundary that can go up and get the ball downfield. Elite athlete. His yards after the catch, I think he had like 176 yards after the catch of his 300 yards in week 1. Like, they just get him the ball, a hook route, and he's gone. He is gone. Like, with someone at that size, that length, that speed, it's unfair, man. So those are the guys that I'm looking at. What about you?
Yeah, listen, this is a great matchup for the Big 12 here, and we'll obviously kind of get an early lead on things for that title there. Kansas State certainly has some really nice names, and Arizona is just, that offense is just as you said, kind of a little bit insane with Fifita and T-Mac, that combination. But excuse me, Kansas State certainly needs to bring their A game defensively. They certainly have been all year. That's kind of their bread and butter. They have a decent running game offensively, but defense is kind of where they're going to win out. They had a rough going versus Tulane, but again, the defense kind of stood on their head there towards the end, was able to kind of shut them down, for that win. But yeah, listen, they got a tall task because Fifita and T-Mac is, I think, by far the best kind of quarterback wide receiver combo that we have. Obviously, T-Mac put up 5 billion yards last week. It just honestly, it didn't even look real. Looking at the box scores, you thought you were, again, somebody was playing college football. So on the PlayStation there. But yeah, this is going to be a great Big 12 matchup. Honestly, offense versus defense, and kind of see what kind of comes out. Obviously, Arizona's defense isn't nothing to kind of brag home about, but they're pretty solid. And Kansas State, like I said, they have a really good running back, good offensive line. They always got big boys. I mean, last year, obviously, we talked about Cooper Beebe. So it's they're obviously trying to replace that. They also lost one of their tackles as well to the draft, but yeah, they've always had a really nice offensive line there in Kansas State, and always seems to be always a really decent running back that kind of comes out of Kansas State, and they certainly have one there and rely on all of their run games. So yeah, I'm kind of curious as to kind of see where this thing goes, but I don't know. That Arizona offense is pretty. DJ Giddens is the running back that I wanted to mention for Kansas State. So pay attention to him offensively for Kansas State.
Yeah, Kansas State has just been the model of consistency. They've finished with at least 8 wins in 4 of the last 5 years. But there's been a lot of change from last year to this year, man. There you look at offensive coordinator Colin Klein. He went to Texas A&M. You look at their quarterback last year, Will Howard. He went to your boy Ohio State. Yeah. They lost 2 of his top pass catchers. They lost 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen, including Cooper Beebe, who we know and love last year. So it's really been a next man up kind of theme for the 2024 Wildcats. You mentioned DJ Giddens. Their rushing attack is the best feature of this team. They also have a quarterback in Avery Johnson, who's more of a running type of quarterback, not a big time passer. So it's really interesting. I think Arizona's they're going to want to get the ball down the field, whereas the Kansas State offense is going to want to cement their will with their rushing attack. I'm a little worried about the defense for Kansas State. It was their issue last year. When it comes to their front 7, this was a team that ranked outside of the top 90 in team run defense grade per PFF and pass rush grade and tackling grade. So this is a unit that has a lot of question marks. You mentioned DJ Giddens. We got to give him some love. Sorry, I don't have a graphic. We're kind of scrambling today, but he's one of the best when it comes to missed tackles, generating missed tackles. He had 69 missed tackles last year. That was tied for 10th most in FBS running backs last year. He's also an underrated running back, ranking 11th among Power 5 backs in pass blocking grade per PFF. So just a versatile weapon for Kansas State. So it'll be interesting to see, which one prevails. Will it be, T-Max elite ball tracking ability downfield, yak ability, or will it be DJ Giddens and that 3-headed rushing attack of Kansas State? I think it's going to be a great game, and better yet, it's a Friday night game, which is really fun. So,
I always like when there's a great matchup off, like on an off day, like even the NFL again, when there's like a great Monday night or there's a great Thursday night. Same with college football, great Friday night game. Like it is the focus of the nation. Just all eyes are going to be on this game, especially in the Big 12. Is this, the winner of this game, has a leg up for that Big 12 title. I mean, there's a lot of really good Big 12 teams that are fighting, and this one right here gives that team automatically a slight edge. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's a Friday 8:00 game, which I'm used to, like Arizona games like Saturday night at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
Right. So
I'm not staying up for that.
No, I'm staying up for that. I'm too
old. But we're on the East Coast here, as you can tell. But anyway, that is our game of the week. Let's get to my favorite part of the show, and that is our player of the week prediction. Player of the week prediction time. We'll get to our picks and numbers of how we did from last week in our next segment. But Ryan, do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first. I don't mind going
Good,
first.
man. Who's your player of the week prediction?
All right, so I'm gonna go with a guy that I think is lost, kind of in the national spotlight when it comes to this team, and that's Theo Weiss Jr. He's a guy that transferred from Oklahoma to Missouri. And certainly Missouri, there might be a guy over there that y'all have heard of when it comes to the wide receiver room in Burden. But I like him as far as he seems to be that second option that's going to kind of get not as much attention. And Burden right now, is some may say, is the best wide receiver out there. But against Buffalo last week, this guy had 149 yards against those Buffaloes, and he seemed to lead. I think he had 13 catches, and just the targets were there because again, all the attention is on Burden, and now they have a really great matchup. Missouri does, against Boston College, 24th ranked. So again, I think a lot of the attention is going to be given to Burden and Weiss Jr. or Weiss, I think it's Weiss Jr. Seems to have the benefit of that. So I think it's going to be a great matchup, another great game to watch. Two ranked teams going at it, and I just I'm going with my gut here, and I think he's going to have another great week there, and probably going to continue to have another couple of great weeks, just from the fallout of all the attention going to Burden.
Yeah.
Eventually, people are going to realize that they got two really great wide receivers there in Missouri to worry about. So let's go with Weiss Jr. today.
Yeah, he had a ridiculous 13 receptions on 14 targets against Buffalo for 149 yards. My God, this is a great call, Ryan Reese. I love it. Not a guy that's on my radar, but as a guy who loves these kind of day three guys, under the radar guys, I love this pick. I'll definitely be watching this one. The previous week, he had 3 receptions on 5 targets for 30 yards. Hasn't hit pay dirt so far in 2024, but he did have almost 700 yards last year. But yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to go with a little bit of a more known entity when it comes to college football, at least surface level. Let's go Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, man. You look at the last 2 years, over 6,000 passing yards, 43 touchdowns, 6'2". Also has over 1,000 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns on nearly 250 carries. He's a mobile quarterback. He's a guy that can escape the pocket, make accurate throws on the run, and I think he's an underrated athlete. And that combined with his arm strength makes him top notch in terms of a college football quarterback. He's done a lot and seen a lot at Ole Miss. He's run everything from traditional plays in the pocket to rollouts to design runs. So he's got a lot of experience. You look at where he needs to improve in 2024. It's really his willingness to throw into tight windows and be more comfortable delivering accurate passes to his receivers who are only open by a step. He also could be a better deep ball passer, but this guy has everything in his pocket. His numbers this year are through the roof. So far, he's got an 87% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 turnover-worthy plays. This guy has a quarterback rating of 155.8, and I think his I think he had 24 straight completions last week. So he's ridiculous. He's straight.
Something.
I think it's literally him and Cam Ward when it comes to Heisman. And make sure you watch out for Jackson Dart because he's putting up video game numbers this season.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's funny you said week 1 they were it was all pass, and week 3 he still threw for 377 yards last week. Yeah. Yes, Parrish ran for 165 and 4, the Ole Miss running back there, but again, you had Wells Jr. for almost 80 yards and a touch. My boy Trey Harris for 9 catches for $130. Also Caden Prickthorn, the tight end there, 3 for 48. Yeah, they have so many weapons. It's honestly it's just kind of an embarrassment of riches there. And you're right. They can run the ball, they can pass the ball, but either way, they're still going to put up goofy numbers, whether in their passing game, regardless if they decide to kind of focus more on the run, they're still going to throw the ball. And yeah, Dart's Dart's amazing. Honestly, you're right. I think it's him and Ward right now, who have the clear slight step up Heisman wise. They've just so far through 2 weeks have looked amazing. And I'm excited to kind of see Ole Miss. Ole Miss was kind of my sneaky team last year, and I like how they look this year, with that offense. And, again, I hope Dart keeps throwing it to my boy Harris. He was kind of my under the radar guy early last year. I'm excited to kind of see this offense grow. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than who you're going to cover. There's everybody out there in Ole Miss can do something. So Dart's probably the worst problem he has is which open receiver am I going to throw it to?
Yeah, you look at, they replaced the best running back in football, arguably, with Quinshon Judkins, with a guy named Henry Parrish Jr., a transfer out of Miami who led Miami the last 2 years in rushing, and he's been going ham. And we haven't even talked about Juice Wells, who is a legit wide receiver prospect. He was awesome last year. He was a transfer. He's only got 9 targets in 2 games. He does have 2 touchdowns, but Juice Wells and Trey Harris are arguably the top duo in college football when it comes to the wide receiver position. And when we wrap this up, that's going to be my final thought, because I think there's a new top duo receiving wise in college football that I'm going to bring up that I don't think a lot of people know about. But yeah, I mean, this Ole Miss offense is elite. Any other comments before we get into our picks of the week?
No, my feelings on Ole Miss. So Dart's a great choice for sure.
It's when you always go to Ole Miss when you don't have any prep for a show. You're like, Ole Miss. It's like Tennessee. Sure.
Let's do it. Screw it.
All right, let's get to our picks of the week. Oh my. Okay, let's get into our top picks of the week. Ryan, not the best week for you, brother.
No, I was, well, let's be honest. I was god awful. It was god awful.
All right, let's look at Michigan versus Texas. I had Texas, you had Michigan. We both had Nebraska. We both had Tennessee. We both had Oregon. Oregon almost lost that game. Ashton Jeanty is legit, man. If you don't know that guy, make sure you go check him out. I previewed him last week, and he was arguably a winner of the week for week 2. We both missed on Iowa, which like as we talked about during our preview, that game went down to the wire as every Iowa versus Iowa State game does.
Seems so, yeah.
Crazy. Cam Ward was a beast. Will Howard was efficient, but Ohio State utilized more of a rushing attack in week 2.
You're right, and I talked about how that would be my own downfall, is if they were up by quite a bit, and again, Howard even had himself a rushing touchdown, but yeah, listen, he put up decent numbers, but overall, yeah, you have to go with Ward. He was 4 total touchdowns, over 300 yards passing. What else can you say?
After week 4, let's do a quick recap of like our predictions and like totals, and then we'll probably do like a quick Heisman segment.
Yeah, update our rankings. I would think.
Our rankings. That'd be really fun. Look at our picks of the week. I was 3-0. No real scares there for me, although Utah did lose Cam Rising. Just to keep an eye out for that. Cam Rising got thrown into a jug on the sideline, hurt his hand. He looked like he was in good spirits. So keep an eye out for that, because when he's on the field, he's outstanding. He's been hurt pretty much his entire career. That guy's made of glass. You missed on Notre Dame, man. I don't know what to say.
Dang. What are you doing? They looked so good so far, and they just couldn't figure out that Northern Illinois defense. I mean, they were swarming all over them. I was as soon as like more than I think it was like the third quarter where I was like, this game's over. They lost. I mean, they just what a bad pick by me. I suck.
That's tough, man. That's tough. I don't blame you whatsoever. I think they were like 17-point favorites or something along those lines.
It was probably more than that, honestly.
All right, so let's get into our week 3 picks of the week. Let's go to Arizona versus Kansas State. Ryan, who are you going with?
Listen, this is tough. The 20th ranked Arizona versus Kansas State, 14th ranked at Bill Snyder Stadium in Kansas. There, I think the line right now is maybe like 7.5 for Kansas. I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna go with Arizona.
I like it.
I just like that Arizona offense. I like the combo. Fifita, I think, and T-Mac. I think Fifita is just a consistent talent, willing to make plays, and I think again you saw some struggles from Kansas State last week, and I think Arizona is going to take advantage of that and kind of look into the many reasons why they struggled last week, and I just think there's really not a lot you could do to kind of contain T-Mac. So let me go with Arizona with the outright win.
God, I thought you were going to go Kansas State.
I thought so too, but my heart went the other way.
I feel like, I do. I don't even know what the spread is, but like I feel like Kansas State would be an easier
7.5 Kansas State. Yeah, right now.
I'm right there with you, brother. Like I feel like Arizona is going to load up with T-Mac, and their offense is going to win this game. I do have question marks about the pass rush with Kansas State and whether or not they can get home. That's going to leave Fifita with a lot of time in the pocket and time to get T-Mac downfield. So give me Arizona. Kentucky versus Georgia. This was a game that I was actually really excited about before week 2. But Kentucky quarterback just stinks. They scream like a Florida State kind of team. Give me Georgia all the way. Where are you at?
Yeah, listen, even though this one is at Kroger Field in Kentucky, Georgia's just so damn good. I don't know how you can pick against Georgia until you actually see some sort of, fault or some sort of negative on this team. So I haven't found one yet. So keep giving me Georgia if you're going to throw up these Georgia games.
Oregon versus Oregon State. I do want to throw out that Oregon has not looked good their first 2 games of the year. This is a team that was widely considered the best of the best in the Big Ten, a big-time contender, and they go up against Oregon State. Where are you at?
This is tough. I mean, yeah, Oregon has not looked good. But I feel like this is a bounce back opportunity, for Dylan and that Oregon team. And yeah, give me Oregon. Give me Oregon to right the ship against a rival game. There's a lot on the line. Yeah, I'm going Oregon.
I agree with you there. Utah versus Utah State.
I mean, again, another tough one. This should be an easy Utah, but Cam going down a little bit, makes me wonder. But listen, Utah State is, well, I'll be nice. They're not good. So still give me Utah to pull this one out.
Let me look up Utah State's schedule. Utah. They are 1-1. They lost 45-22 to Georgia State. They beat Robert Morris 36-14.
A really good talent, is what you're saying.
Utah all the way. And let's go UCF versus TCU. I'm a big UCF fan. I think they are underrated. Their rushing attack is really strong. Where are you going?
Yeah, listen, when we kind of looked at this, TCU, looked really good week 1 against Stanford, and certainly dominated Long Island. Who knew Long Island was a college? The Long Island Sharks, by the way. So if you're ever up in Long Island, careful of those sharks. Yeah, listen, they obviously dominated them. They haven't played, again, they played Stanford, who, is okay. But, this is going to be their first, kind of real game there against UCF. I still think I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs here.
Nice.
But it's going to be a nice matchup. Honestly, it's going to be a real close game. So I could see this one going either way. So
keep an eye out for RJ Harvey. He has been lights out this season. He's a running back for UCF. All right, let's get into our top 3 picks of the week. Ryan, I feel like you need a win. You go first.
Oh man. Yeah, you're right. I definitely could use a win, for sure. Listen, I'm gonna take hopefully a layup. I thought I was taking a layup with the Notre Dame game, but give me a layup with Miami versus Ball State. It's in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. They have been playing on fire so far this year. Cam Ward has been just like, as we said, he's got to be a Heisman, one of the top guys right now. So this should hopefully be an easy win to get me back to winning ways.
All right, this is hard. I always like to go off the cuff here. I thought one of the surprises of last year was how good Houston's defense was. They really battled Oklahoma, made Jackson Arnold really struggle. I know he's a young quarterback, but I'm going to go Houston over Rice as my pick because I'm trying to get some teams here that, again, we can't pick going forward. So
Right.
give me Houston over Rice. And I'm going to cross off Houston on my big board. I thought they played really hard last week.
Yeah. And believe me, I am 1000% going to pick a team that I have already picked at some point, sooner than later. Not we're not talking like, late in the year. I'm gonna do it. I might do it this week. I don't know. You never know. But yeah, listen, looking at this schedule of games.
Wait, I'm up. I'm up.
Oh yeah, that's right. You are up. Sorry, my bad.
Whoa, I want to make sure I lock this one in.
Yeah, no, hey, go for it. I'm so sorry.
Going in a similar light, I know Cam Rising didn't play most of the second half, if all of the second half, but Baylor really fought hard. I'm never going to talk about Baylor again the rest of the year. Give me Baylor over Air Force. They are a minus 13.5 over Air Force. Baylor over Air Force. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. No. You're all right. Yeah, I gotta take some layups here. I can't be taking, the risks of Houston and Rice. So I'm gonna take number 7 Tennessee over Kent State.
Yeah,
it's in Knoxville. This should be a slam dunk. Nico should be out by, maybe even halftime, honestly. But hopefully by the fourth quarter for sure. So easy win for Tennessee.
That's a lock.
Yeah, God willing, because I can't take any more of this. Looking around again, give me for the last game, give me Iowa over Troy. They struggled over Iowa State there. I think, again, this is a nice bounce back. It's at home. Troy is, again, not a team that anybody should ever fear. They're 0-2. They lost to Nevada, Memphis. And the Trojans are, defeated in the Sun Belt right now. So, give me hopefully an easy win for Iowa to bounce back after that tough matchup versus Iowa State.
I am going to go with my final one here. I'm going to go Virginia Tech over Old Dominion. Virginia Tech is 1-1. They lost their opener to Vanderbilt in a really tough game, and then not the best showing against Marshall. So I think Virginia Tech is better than they've shown so far. Maybe they go up against Old Dominion and destroy them. Old Dominion is 0-2 on the season. They have losses against East Carolina and South Carolina. So Virginia Tech over Old Dominion is my pick. And we'll see how that turns out. So those are our picks. I hate this one. Now we're back. Ryan, final thoughts, plugs, time's yours, bro.
Yeah, listen, it was a great week too. Again, I think each week, as we're looking, really, again, builds upon itself and really has a nice couple of strong matchups, not just the easy, top 25s, but I'm really excited for this Arizona game. Again, anytime that you can kind of have a game separate from the rest is so nice. It's on Fox. Kansas State and Arizona. Don't also forget that there's also Kansas and UNLV on Friday night as well. Listen, what a great slate of games. There's a couple of nice games as we talked about, Missouri and Boston College. Don't forget about Ole Miss, Utah State. So I don't know. This is going to be another fun matchups throughout the weekend here. So I wasn't able to watch as much college football as I would have liked to. obviously Friday, the Eagles game, for sure, and just kind of running off the high of that. But we'll get back into it's always an adjustment for me anyway to kind of balance the NFL
It's
and
a
college.
lot, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, and unfortunately now I also have the Sunday ticket, so so much football, so little time. But I'll figure it out, folks. You don't you worry. I'll stay up late if I have to. I'll probably pass out, but I'll stay up. But
I'm
I'll
like the
find out.
opposite. I'm not. I haven't watched a lick of NFL football. I'll stay up and watch college football all day and night. I'll wake up Sunday morning and recap all the games, the night games from the. I love it so much. But anyway, I promised I would. The top wide receiver duo in college football is Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ooh,
The
yeah.
best wide receiver duo in football is Emeka Egbuka. We've covered him for years. He's outstanding. He's outstanding. I feel like it. I feel like we talked about it.
I know.
However,
Oh,
there is a true freshman on Ohio State that everybody needs to watch out for. His name is Jeremiah Smith, and he looks like a Marvin Harrison clone, 6'3", like 225 pounds, I'm estimating. And he is a big-time prototypical vertical X receiver that can literally take a pass and take it to the house, like a Ted McMillan, like a guy like Mike Evans. So make sure you go watch Jeremiah Smith out of Ohio State. He is a true freshman again. He is delivering like back-to-back weeks. He's already got 3 touchdowns. He is elite as it gets. He's that Travis Hunter wide receiver prospect that we talked about last year at this point in time. We were gushing over Travis Hunter as a receiver. Obviously, both sides of the ball. But Jeremiah Smith, have you gotten a chance to watch him yet?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's got 11 receptions, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. He took that 70-yarder to the house there, and it's funny. We obviously know about Egbuka, who's going to be a top wide receiver in this draft, but I mean, it's not fair. Ohio State just gets these guys, and they have a 2-headed monster in the receiver room. They have a 2-headed monster in the running back room with Judkins and Henderson, and it's just it's honestly an embarrassment of riches there in Ohio State on that offense. And I guarantee you, there's probably a guy or two that we're not talking about right now in Ohio State that's going to come out of nowhere and be like, oh yeah, I've been here the whole time. Don't forget about me. So far, you're absolutely right. This guy, Smith has been unreal, and you're right. Looks the part too. That's the crazy part is he just absolutely looks like Marvin Harrison just forgot to leave school.
Did you watch the Michigan and Texas game? Because I thought that Anthony Johnson out of Texas as a linebacker was everywhere, man. That's another young kid that's up and coming as a top linebacker prospect. And I say that for you because I know you love your linebacker.
Oh, I do. Believe me, I saw him out there running around, and listen. Awesome. Defensively, I think that was a game that I definitely wanted to watch, just because again, Michigan has so many great defensive players, but don't slouch on Texas's defense. They lost a bunch of guys, but man, they replaced them, and it is 1,000% next man out there for the Longhorns defensively, and man, it's that Texas team jumped up to number 2. We'll see what damage they could do there. They're clearly going to be in the playoffs. I mean, again, looking at their schedule is rough, but I just don't see where they're going to lose right now.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that the biggest thing is Quinn Ewers. So the biggest thing he struggled with was throwing accuracy out of the pocket and his ability to hit guys in stride against pressure. And I think those are two areas that he's shown major progress this year. I'm not a Quinn Ewers guy. I've never been.
Never been.
And I gotta say, like he's showing a lot of people something. So again, how many scouts were at that Michigan Texas game, and he's playing out of his mind. So
Yeah.
no, I don't like the side throwing motion. I don't like his mechanics.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's not pretty, but I mean, honestly, they got a couple of
poise,
cupcakes.
dude. He's got poise.
Yeah, he's clutch. He's clutch as well. You know, they got a couple of cupcakes coming up. Then they got obviously the Oklahoma matchup, and man, if they survive that, it's going to clearly be number 1 versus number 2 when they play Georgia in the middle of October there in a couple of weeks. And man, that's going to be the game of the year, honestly.
Yeah,
especially if they're 1 and 2. Man, that's going to be one hell of a matchup there. And I think that one's in Georgia too, right? No, or is it? No, it's at Texas. So, geez, man, what a game! What a game.
That's the day before my birthday, man. I might have to
take off and
get
silly
drunk. We'll be heavily medicated that weekend. I put out like 7 shorts from this week of my winners of the week. Go check that out. It's on the channel. Ryan, do you have football with Smack Talk show tomorrow?
Yeah. We've kind of had some scheduling issues, but we'll be back tomorrow. So certainly, we'll be reviewing the Eagles game, talking about the upcoming Monday nighter. So we get nice little rest there for the Birds coming back from Brazil. So that'll be nice. And obviously, later on Monday, 9:00. Don't forget Party on Broad. Tuesday, 8:00. Best Birds show in the nation. Birds of the Round Table. And then Armchair Scouts talking more college football. Absolutely love it. So there you go. Trying to squeeze everything into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then get a nice little break the rest of the week. Unless somebody needs me, I'll be there.
I honestly don't know where else is there better football coverage Sunday, Monday, Tuesday?
Honestly,
it's great as it gets.
Yeah.
Just saying, I might do 4 shows in that time span, but I'm just saying.
I mean, right, exactly. It might be a little biased, but honestly, again, make sure that you are following EOP on all social media platforms. Make sure that you're following Eagles Pin Pull Network as well. Starting to kind of grow that thing as well. And all of your Spotify's and your podcast networks out there. Make sure you're giving it a like, a follow, and a nice rating would be much appreciated.
I also forgot. I have an interview with a dude from the Pinpool Network for the Atlanta Falcons tomorrow.
Nice.
That won't be live because I'm going to edit it and spruce it up with highlight reels and stuff. So that'll probably go live Wednesday. But I have a fun interview going into enemy territory, deep diving into the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not sure if they won or lost today because we've been live here.
Right. I don't know the outcome, but
Bijan had a great day at the point we started recording. So I'll go check that out. So Eagles versus Falcons preview Tuesday night on Birds of the Round Table. Tomorrow night, Party on Broad will be strictly talking about everything we know and learned, the pros and the cons between the Eagles and the Packers. So one last time, he is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA, not Philly _Madness. I don't know what the hell. I was thinking, I know what I was drinking.
Philly.
I know what I was drinking, Ryan, but I don't know what I was thinking. But Ryan Gibbs, Mr. Crockpot, thank you everyone for watching. Have a great NFL football Sunday. We'll see you tomorrow night. For Ryan, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.